Persuasion tricks using storyline. It's super easy to watch video on YouTube and learn about persuasion tricks, when in your real life, it can be challenging to remember the trick and use it, especially when in actions. In this video, we'll share about persuasion tricks using storyline to make you remember persuasion tricks and apply them in your real life. Imagine you are a social media tech developer and your plan is to start a company. It requires 5 million to fund a company, so you look for a wealthy investor, and lucky enough you found a person that is interested in your social media technology. Wow, that's a nice one. So you begin reserving a Michelin 5-star, I don't know what it costs, but for sure it's a top-notch restaurant with the best environment for a meeting with the investors. As usual, you may have a handshake and begin some business talks with the investor. You bring up a fine wine that you brought from Italy and give it to the investor. Having a nice conversation and a good time. Not realizing it, you become a more funny person, as the investor is also a funny person. You realize no more time to waste and you have to ask for the real deal, which is the 10 million to fund your business. Yes, we know that's 5 million, but this is part of the persuasion trick. And the wealthy investor say, wait, hold up, 10 million, huh? Are you kidding me? You got some tension built up. Good thing is you remember during the conversations, the wealthy investor loves to use Investopedia, Yahoo Finance during his free time. So you try to sway away from a tense conversation. A moment after, you ask secret questions that change the investor's mind. Comment down below the secret questions. You are super nervous and you knew if you got rejected again, you might lose the relationship with the wealthy investor, but you can't waste the opportunity. You got to pull the stunt and ask again for the real deal. But this time with 5 millions. Well, somehow the investor is convinced and you got yourself a deal. The story ends. Here's the challenge. Can you figure out which part of persuasion tricks are used? Pause the video and take it yourselves, so you have a better grasp on the explanations. The first persuasion technique is having a top-notch restaurant with a cozy, comfortable environment. Maybe the top-notch is not required, the environment is very crucial to persuade people. It creates a good mood and people are more agreeable when they are in a good mood. It also creates more positive actions. Imagine if you meet up in a very noisy and dark environment. I think the noise becomes the first intention of the investor, not the company. Remember, when you pull out a bottle of fine wine from Italy as a gift. Why gift? It's simple, we call reciprocity. Based on research, the waiter is much more likely to get tips when the waiter provides a simple gift to a customer, such as candy. It applies to persuasion too. When others treat us well, we tend to pay them back. It's engineered in our genes since our ancestors. It creates a strong community that helps each other and making a higher survival chance. And in our corporate world, it applies the same. Do you realize in the story you become a more funny person because the investor is a funny person? This brings us to the next persuasion techniques, which is mirroring. Try to behave more like a person you try to persuade. Why? This makes the person trust you more when they see themselves in it. Have you ever thought of becoming a friend to your own clone? That you, that trusts you, know your thoughts? Won't it be nice? Maybe a little off track, but well. People become friends more easily when a person has similarities like interests, demographic, cultures, and so on. By mirroring the person indirectly, you are building relationships quicker. Next, persuasion trick. Ask for the moon. Ask something bigger than what you expect. Like the story, you ask for 10 millions initially, but really what you want is only 5 million. When there is nothing to compare, you create the comparisons by first asking for the big request, then follow up with the small request. This makes people compare and perceive the small request as small. In fact, that's what you want in the first place. In the story, you know the investors love to use Investopedia, Yahoo Finance. So you know these are the sites that the investor trusted. That comes the next point. Use information source that the person trusted. For example, websites, friends, families, books, or experts. Since they already believe those sources, of information, why not use against the person you try to convince? We finally come to the last one, the moment you ask the secret questions to the investor in the story. The questions are actually the key to persuasion. Asking the right question can gain more information about the person and also let the person think about it. Let the person come to his or her own conclusion. Don't shovel down the fact. Let's take the flat earth as an example. Instead of claiming the earth is not flat to the person who believes the earth is flat, ask, why do you think the earth is flat? Let them doubt about themselves and comes to the conclusion by themselves. To ask questions, not clarify the fact. No one wants to look stupid. When asking about persuasion techniques, think about this story. Maybe you can add the story on your own to spice it up. Story is much easier to recall than facts. Don't you agree? Watch it one time and implement these techniques, so you can recall the stories and the tricks much easily. If yes, hit the button of the likes, and yes, subscribe, yeah?